Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Read, Watch, Enjoy with Dave. Dopamine, attention, variability, executive dysfunction. Chill out. We're talking about books, movies, and video games. Grab some popcorn. It's going to be a while. Alright, so since this is in fact the first episode for the Read, Watch, Enjoy with Dave podcast, I'm just going to do a short one for the first episode. I've attempted to record this one 3 times now. The third time, the power went out for a brief amount of time, and the internet decided to quit out on me too. So, without further ado, let's talk about R.L. Stine's The Hitchhiker, which apparently now is very expensive. I highly recommend purchasing it from like Barnes & Noble's website. Go to a half-price books. It might be cheap on their website. I don't know. Or just renting it directly from the library. It's one of the offshoots that I noticed in the R.L. Stine series of books under the Scholastic title. The Hitchhiker was written in 1993. He is best known for, of course, his Goosebumps series, which later became a TV series. If you know that show, you grew up well. You also grew up to enjoy a lot of horror movies and shows, aka things like Are You Afraid of the Dark, which we might touch on later in the podcast. As of right now, since this is the first episode, I don't know when the next episode will be out. It all depends on my work schedule and my streaming schedule over on Twitch. And if you're not familiar with my Twitch, it's under the same name as my YouTube handle, To Awkward Gamer. Alrighty. Now, to start off, I will do a little reading of an excerpt from Chapter 4. You look like a girl I used to know, he said. Really? Terry asked without interest. Yeah, her name was Lizzie. She was a great swimmer, used to dive, too. Used to go diving with those treasure hunters, you know. The ones who found that old ship buried by the reef. You look a lot like her. I'm a pretty good swimmer, too. Are you on vacation? Terry asked uncomfortably. Not really, James said. You're not on vacation and you don't really know where you're going, Christina asked. That sums it up pretty well, James said, grinning at her as she peered into the rear-view mirror at him. And you hitchhiked up here from Key West? Terry asked. Like to ask a lot of questions? James shot back. He saw Terry's face turn bright scarlet. Oh, he told himself. Cool it with the sarcasm, man. These girls are going to take you all the way to Cleveland. You don't want to make them nervous. He laughed to show Terry he was joking. I was lucky. I got all the way up to Lauderdale in one ride, he told her. They drove on for a while in silence. The late afternoon sun poured in through the windshield. Waves of heat rose up from the road, making it appear to sizzle and bubble. That was actually from page 19, chapter 4. That is just one brief page or excerpt from the actual title. There isn't too much to talk about other than the fact that James, Terry, and Christina are the main characters of the story. It is a good way of saying don't pick up a hitchhiker because there are a lot of dangers, which I think is a nice hazardous tale. There's a few twists and turns with this book itself, but as it stands, it is about 28 chapters long, despite it being so small. The ending was not exactly something that I enjoyed. It was kind of a cliffhanger, in my opinion. I don't know if there's another book in the series other than The Hitchhiker, and as far as I'm aware, there is no movie of the same title. I will look into it later. As of right now, since this is going to be the short first episode to gauge reactions, obviously, I have to know if you guys actually want to listen to more of this. I am a nervous wreck right now. I'm as awkward as can be. My my live streams are just about as awkward as this is. I apologize. I'm trying my best. I'm trying to think of it as reading to a couple of people that I know very well. Regardless of that, I apologize for the nervousness that is coming across. This book happens to be one of my favorites growing up, aside from the Goosebumps series that R.L. Stine did. Um, I believe he was also um, working with the people that created the TV show as well. If you remember the opening for the Goosebumps series show, oh my god, the memories. The 90s were really good about certain openings for shows that were kind of creepy. The only other thing that I can say about this is the fact that Christina and Terry, they fight a lot throughout the book series, or the book itself, I should say. And James is just thinking, oh, they're fighting over me because I am a strong young man. They want a piece of it. In a way, it kind of sounds a little bit like a coming of age, or I don't know, self centeredness to a degree. A little bit of narcissism, but not to the point of danger. Um, I think more of it is in jest when it comes to James' character. Christina is more the cool headed, meticulous one, I guess you could call her. Considering I haven't read this in maybe 10 years, the last time I read it, it has changed, in my opinion, how I view the book. Um, the character of Christina, she starts out seeming like a carefree little badass with curls. Blonde hair, curly hair, for that matter. Slim build, the party animal, if you will. Then there's Terry. She's a little bit more on the chubby side. She's kind of short, but she's also like very nervous, kind of mousy, but not too mousy to where she's a full carpet to be walked over. James's character, he's running away from something he thinks is more of a big deal than it actually is. And he's just running. He wants to get out of Key West, Florida. That is where most of the story starts and ends, is Florida. The girls are on a little vacay for a week down in, I think, Fort Lauderdale. I've been in Florida. It's pretty beautiful. I've been there during spring break 1 year and 1 year only. That was after I graduated high school. Very beautiful. I loved hitting the food spots, and I went to Epcot versus Disney World. I don't know why. Um, I had a lot of fun with that. But back to the story. The two girls are actually from Cleveland, Ohio. They're down there for spring break, apparently. I don't remember if it was ever actually articulated whether or not they truly were. They might have been, because Christina was, as I said, the party animal. Whereas Terry was the mousy one who always got left behind and completely jealous of her friend and all the actions she seemed to get. Um, Also, I'm hoping that you guys are enjoying the music. Thank you to Music Maker for having an amazing Song Maker AI involved with the software. Not affiliated in any way, obviously not backed by them. I just happen to love the software. I thought it would be perfect for the podcast. Um, I'm all over the place. ADHD at work, or Dave. Anyhow, yeah. Christina and Terry are apparently from Cleveland, Ohio. James thinks that getting away means going all the way to Cleveland so he can escape what he thinks was the worst thing in his life of what he did. I'm not going to spoil too much, other than there was a twist in there that I forgot about, and I was like, whoa, Nelly. But yes, Christina, as I said, is the cool-headed one. Terry is kind of hot-headed when she needs to be. James has an anger issue. Definitely has anger issues. There's a part where he was talking to his cousin Paul and Paul's wife Paula, and I believe their son was named Matthew. I'd have to double check that. I can't remember. I have to really check where that is, because my brain does not remember a lot. Let me see. I have to go back quite a few pages. Let's see. Ethan. I thought the child's name was Matthew. I apologize. The young kid's name is Ethan. He's kind of a... I don't know how to describe the kid since he's not in there for more than maybe a chapter. The chapters are also somewhat short, so they're able to cram about almost 30 chapters into this book. Let me see. And in total, there are exactly 165 pages to this book, and there are exactly 30 chapters to this book. It is small, but it is mighty. And if you're ever interested, please let me know in the comments of this first podcast episode how you feel about it. I know I'm not very good with describing like scenarios and stuff, but Christina and Terry are also very nervously running away from something as well. I'm not going to explain what. I don't wish to spoil it. If you want me to read out of this book like a chapter or two, like a full chapter, let me know. I'll see if I can get a friend of mine to help read it, like across from me, so to speak. I would eventually like to read this book out in like a stream of some sort. It would be interesting. I'm tossing out some ideas while I am recording this. My ADHD is really kicking in. But The Hitchhiker by R.L. Stine. Super good book. Has quite the twist. R.L. Stine, as I said earlier, great writer. His writings are phenomenal. Let me go grab one of the Goosebumps books. Alright, at random, the two books that I've chosen by R.L. Stine under the Goosebumps title, Beware the Snowman and Night of the Living Dummy. Almost said Limming Dovey. Anywho, I'm just going to read the excerpt on the back. He's no dummy. Lindy names the ventriloquist dummy she finds Slappy. Slappy's kind of ugly, but he's a lot of fun. Lindy's having a great time learning to make Slappy move and talk, but Chris is jealous of all the attention her sister is getting. It's no fair. Why does Lindy always have all the luck? Chris decides to get a dummy of her own. She'll show Chris. Then weird things begin to happen. Nasty things. Evil things. No way a dummy can be causing all the trouble. Or is there? Reader beware. You're in for a scare. So, back when this book was made, under the Scholastic title, this one was in May of '93. So back in the 90s, a lot of these books were also like $4 or $5, if not less. This book is thin, almost as thin as The Hitchhiker. They all came out, these two came out about the same time. Just one came out earlier. I'm going to read a little bit from one of the pages out of chapter 12. I haven't read this book, but I know a semi-decent amount about the Night of the Living Dummy. Considering it was also in the Goosebumps movie, which I did watch. I haven't seen the second one, which I believe there was a second one made, or is being made. I don't know. But the living dummy, Slappy, is in the movie. It's kind of a Pandora's box for a movie. As in, the kid gets curious, goes over to the dude's house, opens something, I can't remember what, and all the creations from the Goosebumps universe just pop out, including Slappy, and he seems to be the mastermind. And there's also, I think, a video game or two of the Goosebumps series. I have not looked into that one, unfortunately. I need to be honest. All right, I'm going to read just a little bit from chapter 12. What? What's going on here? She took a step into the kitchen, then another. Something cold and wet surrounded her foot. Lindy gasped and, looking down, saw that she had stepped in a wide puddle. An overturned milk carton beside her foot revealed that the puddle was spilled milk. She raised her eyes to Chris, who was standing in darkness across the room, her back against the wall, her hands raised to her face in horror. Chris? What on earth? The scene was coming into focus now. It was all so weird, so wrong. It was taking Lindy a long time to see the whole picture, but now, following Chris's horrified stare, Lindy saw the mess on the floor, realized why the refrigerator was empty. Everything inside it had been pulled out and dumped on the kitchen floor. An orange juice bottle lay on its side and a puddle of orange juice. Eggs were scattered everywhere. Fruits and vegetables were strewn over the floor. Oh! Lindy moaned in utter disbelief. Everything seemed to sparkle and gleam. What was all that shiny stuff among the food? Chris's jewelry! There were earrings and bracelets and strands of beads tossed everywhere, mixed with the spilled, strewn food like some kind of bizarre salad. So that was one page out of chapter 12 for Night of the Living Dummy. He walks, he stalks. And one of the other things that I really truly loved about the Goosebumps books themselves is they had the raised, embossed, title. One of the books that I own actually has a, I guess, shiny cover. One moment. All right. The book that has more of a shiny, almost foiled appearance on the outside is the R.L. Stine Give Yourself Goosebumps. Reader beware, you choose the scare. Choose from over 20 different scary endings. Join the all-new Goosebumps fan club. This is number 9, The Knight in Screaming Armor. So I'm going to read the excerpt on the back. It was the night to dismember. Your cousins, Kip and Abby, have come to visit you from jolly old England. Guess what they brought with them? 2 huge crates, each containing a suit of armor and a curse. But it doesn't matter, because you're dying to see what's inside. If you open the crate marked Evil Knight, you'll be hypnotized by the knight's sparkling medallion and will have to face an ugly sorceress. If you open the Good Night crate, you'll discover a room full of mannequin heads that talk. Before you know it, you've lost your head. Can you pull yourself together before time runs out? Choice is yours in this scary Goosebumps adventure that's packed with over 20 super spooky endings. Reader beware, you choose the scare. Give yourself goosebumps. And then the next one, it says, don't miss the next book in the series, Diary of a Mad Mummy. Just going to choose a random spot in the book. And it shows at the very bottom of the page, try to escape on page blank. So I'm going to just randomly go to episode. Page 39. The silver key fits perfectly into the lock, but it won't turn. I don't get it, you say. This key looks like it should go with the lock. No luck. You put the key back in your pocket. You step back from the door to search for another way in. As soon as you move away, the door slowly swings open. Come in. The voice of a very old man invites from somewhere inside the cottage. I've been waiting for you. Waiting for us? Abby stammers. She peers into the darkened doorway. But I don't see you, Abby says. Come closer, the old man says in a friendly voice. It's been so long since I had some good company. The three of you step into the cottage. The door slams behind you. And then at the very bottom of the page it says, if the slam makes you scream, turn to page 87. If the slam makes you jump, turn to page 105. So I'm going to go with 105. I want to just do this really quick to show what this is like. Not everybody has experienced the joys of Goosebumps. And it kind of shows, but at the same time, this is what a good podcast would be for. So 105. The loud slam of the door startles you. You jump 2 feet into the air. When you come back down, the floor beneath you opens up. A trapdoor! You exclaim. The three of you plunge downward. It seems like you're falling for a while. Then your luck changes. You land on a soft bed covered with brown cloth. Ah. You sigh, catching your breath. I don't know where we are. But am I glad to be away from that old guy. I can't explain it, but his voice really gave me the creeps. I keep telling Abby the same thing, Kip teases. I can't explain it, but her face really gives me the creeps. Don't push your luck, Kip, Abby warns. She whacks him with a piece of brown cloth. What are these, anyway? Kip asks. He lifts up the coarse brown sheet that just hid his face. They're monk's robes, Abby answers. See? She puts one on over her head. She looks just like a monk in a movie. Cool! You and Kip try them on too, just for fun. What are they doing in this old guy's basement? Shh. Abby hushes you. Listen. The sound of low chanting comes from somewhere above you. Do you think it's the knight in screaming armor? You asked. It sounds more like singing than moaning. And then it tells you to go to page 123. But that's as far as I'm going to go with that particular book. There were some really good ones. I also liked the traditional ones that they made, like Night of the Living Dummy. Almost said mummy. The other one that I currently have on hand, and I have a couple more in my bookshelf, but the other one is Beware, the Snowman. No melting allowed. Jacqueline used to live with her aunt Greta in Chicago, but not anymore. They've moved to a place called Sherpia. It's a tiny village on the edge of the Arctic Circle. Jacqueline can't believe she's stuck out in Nowheresville. No movie theaters, no malls, no nothing. Plus, there's something really odd about the village. At night, there are strange howling noises, and in front of every house there's a snowman. A creepy snowman with a red scarf, deep scar on his face, and a really evil smile. You're beware. You're in for a scare. The other book that was in the series is How I Learned to Fly. There's also another one about a ghostly neighbor that I believe was also one of the episodes in the Goosebumps series. Give me one moment to see if I have The Ghost Next Door. I went ahead and grabbed the other books in my Goosebumps series. I have Phantom of the Auditorium, Goosebumps Series 2000, I'm Your Evil Twin, He's One Deadly Double. I'm actually going to check to see what year this one was written in, because it looks like, nope, this one was June of 98, which is interesting. The next one that I have is Let's Get Invisible. Now you see him. Now you don't. I have another Choose Your Own Scare, Night in Werewolf Woods. And then there's The Nightmare Room, which I don't remember these books. It is not under the Goosebumps title. It is another series, I believe, that R.L. Stine created. This one came out, let's see, this one came out in the year 2000. So it's titled Liar, Liar. Open the door to terror. I'm going to read the back of this one really quick for you guys. You hold in your hand the key to a shadow world of shivers and screams. Take a step away from the safe, comfortable world you know. Unlock the door to terror. There's always room for one more in the nightmare room. That tall boy walking so confidently into the party is Ross Arthur. This isn't a surprise party, but Ross has a frightening shock in store. You see, at the party is Ross's identical twin. The problem? Ross doesn't have a twin. It looks as if tonight this party is being held in the nightmare room. What will you find in the nightmare room next time? Check out Book 5, Dear Diary, I'm Dead. Now this is one series that I need to look into further because I was not aware that the Nightmare Room was actually not a Goosebumps title until just now. And then there's a couple more of the Choose Your Own Scares. Number 12, Welcome to the Wicked Wax Museum. Number 13, Scream of the Evil Genie. And then my favorite, one of my favorites, is The Ghost Next Door. There's a strange new kid on the block. I'm going to read a little bit on the back here. Hannah's neighborhood has just gotten a little weird ever since that new boy moved in next door. But when did he move in? Wasn't the house empty when Hannah went to sleep the night before? Why does it still look so deserted? She's not getting any answers from her new neighbor. He just keeps disappearing in the oddest ways. And he's pale. Is Hannah being haunted by the ghost next door? And the quote on the back is, How come I've never seen you before? This one, I believe, was also in 93. Yep, August of the same year. I will go ahead and read a really quick page for you guys. The old guy seemed pretty out of control to me. He was so angry. I mean, maybe he would shoot us to protect his precious mailbox. Bet we could make him a lot angrier, Alan said quietly, climbing to his feet, staring intently at Danny. Yeah, bet we could, Fred agreed, grinning. Unless you're chicken, Danny, Alan said, moving close to Danny, challenge in his voice. It's getting late, Danny said, trying to read his watch in the dark. I promised my mom I'd get home. Fred climbed to his feet and moved next to Alan. We should teach Chesney a lesson, he said, brushing blades of grass off the back of his jeans. His eyes gleamed mischievously in the dim light. We should teach him not to pick on innocent kids. Yeah, you're right, Alan agreed, his eyes on Danny. I mean, he hurt Danny. He had no business grabbing him like that. I've got to get home. See you guys tomorrow, Danny said, waving. Okay, see ya, Fred called after them. At least we get some free ice cream tonight, Alan exclaimed. As Danny walked away quickly, Hannah could hear Alan and Fred giggling their gleeful, high-pitched giggles. Free ice cream, she thought, frowning. Those two guys are really looking for trouble. That was... And I want to say... Chapter 14 out of The Ghost Next Door. I haven't read this book in years. I will eventually get around to reading more of these books. I need to look into the Nightmare Room series by R.L. Stine. Outside of The Hitchhiker, these are the two that I didn't even realize were a thing. I didn't realize that R.L. Stine at the time had written The Hitchhiker, period. I didn't even know about the Nightmare Room until today. So, that's pretty much it for episode 1 of the Read, Watch, and Enjoy podcast. If you're enjoying this, please let me know. Please hit that subscribe and like button, as well as dinging that little bell. All right. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day, folks.